Many snows in the past, before white people invaded the lands of the Indians, the Chippewas were great and strong, and they were as numerous as the leaves on the maple trees. They hunted buffaloes on the prairies of the West. They trapped the beaver in the lakes and rivers. They hunted the deer in the forests around the Great Lakes. They caught the fish in the streams that flow from the mountains towards the rising sun. They were feared and respected by their enemies and loved by their friends. The Good Spirit, the Master of Life, was pleased with his children, and his children were happy. In those long ago years, there lived on the shore of the big water now called Lake Superior a beautiful girl whose name means Lone Bird. She was the only child of her father, Dawn of Day, and of her mother, Sea Eagle. Lone Bird was graceful as the birch tree, and her voice was like the song of a stream at twilight. She was tall and slender, and no daughter of the tribe had such beauty of face. From all the villages of the Chippewa nation came the young men to seek the favor of Lone Bird, and ask to bear her from the lodge of her father. But she looked coldly upon them all. In vain they recited to her their success as hunters and their bravery as warriors. In vain they brought choice gifts to the lodge of Dawn of Day. The heart of Lone Bird was like the ice of winter, and the young man had to return home, lonely and sad. Dawn of Day, realizing the coldness of his daughter, tried to bring some warmth into her heart. He praised the skill and the bravery of the young men he knew and trusted. He reminded her that no maiden in the tribe had so noble a group of lovers from whom to choose a husband. But when her father ended his speech, Lone Bird laughed and said to him, "Do I not have my mother to love me? Do I not have my father to protect me and care for me? What need have I for the young man? Why should I choose a husband?" Dawn of Day made no answer, but next morning he went forth from his lodge, called the most trusted young men of the village to him, and told them the plan he had made during the night. "At a certain time that I shall announce later," he said to them, "all who wish to wed my daughter will gather here on the shore of the lake. The one who proves to be the fleetest of foot shall win my daughter and carry her to his lodge." At the father's words the hearts of the young men filled with joy. Eagerly each youth prepared himself for the race. Hopefully each prayed for fleetness of foot like the deer. The news of the contest to be held spread through all the villages of the Chippewa nation, and so, on the morning which Dawn of Day set for the race, a great crowd of people gathered at the appointed place on the shore of Lake Superior. Everyone wanted to see who would win the beautiful Lone Bird. The old men were there, for they were to judge the race and award the prizes. Mothers were there to encourage their sons. Their daughters were there to see the young men and to be seen by them. And of course, the young men were there, painted in the best manner and plumed with feathers of the turkey and the eagle. Only one person of the tribe was missing, Lone Bird. She sat in the lodge of her father and her mother, weeping. All was ready for the contest. The bounds of the race were set, and the judges gravely took their places. The young men lined up at the starting point, their muscles quivering, their hearts beating with excitement. The instant the signal was given, they dashed forward. Soon, two runners were far ahead of the others. They were Bending Bow and Who Strikes the Game, both of whom had loved Lone Bird for a long time. Each was as fleet as a deer, as swift as the wind. Neither could suppress the other, and when they came to the end of the course, the judges could not tell which of the two was the winner. So Bending Bow and Who Strikes the Game ran again, and again they came side by side. A third time they ran. A third time the judges could not announce a victor. "This time let them jump," someone suggested. But when they jumped, neither could suppress the other the breadth of a hair. "Let them show their skill in hunting," someone suggested. So next morning, Bending Bow and Who Strikes the Game hunted in different parts of the forest. On their return, each of them threw down at the feet of the old man the skins of 20 bears he had slain. Then the heart of Dawn of Day troubled, for he saw in these incidents the hand of the Good Spirit. He returned to his lodge in silence, wondering what he should do. There he found Lone Bird, with head bowed to the ground, her eyes red with weeping. Her father's heart was touched, for he loved his beautiful daughter. He lifted her gently and said to her kindly, "Why do you weep, my daughter?" "Why do you wish to cast me from you?" she replied. "Is not the home of Dawn of Day large enough for his only daughter?" Again his heart was touched. Never, he promised, shall Lone Bird leave the lodge of her father. Then he returned to the people still gathered beside the lake. "The contest is ended," he said to them. "Bending Bow and Who Strikes the Game have done well, but it is the will of the Good Spirit that my daughter shall not leave me." "It is the will of the Good Spirit," repeated the old man. And so the people returned to their villages and to their homes. The contests were ended. The summer and the autumn passed, and the winds of winter blew across the lake. When the snows began to melt, Dawn of Day went to the sunny slope of a hill to make maple sugar. Lone Bird went with him and helped him to gather the sweet juice in vessels made of birch bark. One day, when the smoke was curling up slowly from her father's fire, she seated herself on a flat rock and looked around. The sun was warm and bright, the world was beautiful, but the heart of Lone Bird was sad. She thought of her father and mother, of their gray hair and their slow steps. She knew that old age and death were not far from them. "What will become of me when they are gone?" she asked herself. "I have no brother or sister, no sister's children, to be like my own." For the first time in her life, she felt alone and lonely. Looking down on the early spring flowers blooming at the edge of the snowbanks, she noticed that the blossoms were in pairs, 2 on a stem. Each flower seemed to add beauty to the other. Birds busy with nest building reminded her that they too always lived in pairs. At that moment she heard the high-pitched tootling of a flock of geese over the lake. Turning her head, the girl saw them alight on the water and then glide away, in pairs. "Neither flowers nor birds live alone," Lone Bird said to herself. Her observations made her feel more alone than ever. She remembered her coldness to the young men who wished to woo her. She recalled her father's kindly cheating and his attempts to choose between Bending Bow and Who Strikes the Game. "But I still do not want any of the young men," she said to herself. "I am all alone. Alas, why did the Good Spirit fill the hearts of birds with a love denied to me?" For a long time the girl sat there on the rock above the lake, wrapped in her sad thoughts. When she rose to go, it was evening, and the full moon was making a silver path on the water. Lone Bird looked longingly at the bright ball in the sky. Stretching forth her arms towards it, she exclaimed aloud, "Oh, how beautiful you are! If I had someone like you to love and be loved by, I would no longer be lonely." The Good Spirit heard the voice of Lone Bird and quickly carried her up to the moon. While she had sat upon the rock, her father had finished his work. Not seeing her, he had decided that she had returned home, and so he too had gone. Not finding her in the lodge, he came back to the place where he had made maple sugar. From there he called his daughter's name again and again, but no voice answered him. Sad and anxious, he lifted his eyes towards the sky, towards the moon, shining so brightly. There he saw his daughter, in the arms of the moon. Comforted by the sight, he grieved no longer. He knew that his daughter would always be cared for tenderly. Many, many snows have come and gone since the days of Lonebird and her father, Dawn of Day. Their people have become few, and they are weak. Strangers occupy their old hunting grounds, and the graves of their fathers are unhonored. But the flowers still bloom when spring comes to the lake country. The face of Lonebird can still be seen in the moon, and she still looks down upon her people as they tell her story by the light of the lodge fires.